Have you ever heard the story of the ant and the grasshopper? I loved fables as a kid. I loved all of these stories. Even though I knew they were meant to teach me something important, I still very much enjoyed hearing them. And this one is really simple when it talks about this grasshopper who's having a blast, middle of summer, no care in the world. He's dancing, he's laughing, he's having a good time, and he sees an ant working its very hardest to drag an ear of corn back to its home. So he goes over and says, "Hey, why don't you take a break? Come hang out with me. Let's go have a good time. We can laugh, we can dance, we can talk." And the ant replies, "I must stay to my work so that I can be ready when the winter comes." And the grasshopper just kind of shrugs it off and thinks, "I'm going to just enjoy what I have now as I can now." And the ant goes back to its work. Well, then the winter comes. And what happens? The grasshopper finds itself hungry and starving to death and sees the ants handing out grain and corn every single day. And it clicks inside of his head. The work that we do now prepares us for the future. You know, that's a lesson that I've heard hundreds of times, but one that I'm living in the reality of here today. A couple of years back, God invited me into something new. He said, "Hey, let's go on an adventure." I've been working at the same job diligently for about 15 years and just felt like it was time for something new. Didn't know what, didn't know when, but began that exploration process. Well, at the same time, my wife signed us up for something at our church called Financial Peace. And because I love having a happy marriage, I said yes with an open mind and a willingness to make some changes. And that's exactly what we did. We learned some incredible principles from this class together that we put into action right away. I had a car that I'd been making payments on. I traded that in and bought something used. It wasn't as exciting or flashy, but I also wasn't making payments every month. We shopped at thrift stores, we said no to big purchases. We even tried to whittle back how much we were spending on vacations and eating out as a family, just to be diligent in the day-to-day. Because what we learned as we were going through this time together was that the things that we had heard in these stories and that we were learning in this class together were founded on biblical principles. And we heard this verse from the book of Proverbs, chapter 6. It says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard," real sweet. It says, "See her and be wise. She does not have a chief or an officer or a ruler yet. She makes her bread in the summer and stores her grain in the harvest." See, the ant is diligent and hardworking. The ant is focused and has a plan. The ant thinks about the future and not just the present. And it says that you and I, we're actually made in the image of God. So how much more do we have to be able to be wise and to make good decisions? See, it's up to us to work hard in the harvest so that we can eat well in the winter. That's something that we have done in our family, with our own lives, with our own finances, because we had no idea that we would find ourselves in the middle of a pandemic while looking for a brand new job. But there's one thing that I have to worry about less, and that's our finances. I actually have financial freedom. I'm getting to see the blessing from the work that has been done over the last couple of years, so that my mind cannot be distracted by more things, but can stay focused on the day-to-day, so that when God calls us to adventure tomorrow, we're ready to go.